Everything's fine.
Everything's
fine.
Talk to
Oh, yes, to this one.
This one. Okay.
Everything's fine. The business is thriving. The kids are somewhere. We've definitely slept. We have plenty of time. The inbox is at 0. Hi, I'm Ani.
Can't pick it up. I'm Christina. Boston Bulls, like, do that again. Welcome to Sanity Pending, where we share our grip with reality and hopefully something to give you a bit of hope with your reality too.
How was your dinner last night? How was your cooking session, midnight cooking session?
Oh, I was cooking until midnight because my son is having a sleepover play date today.
No, I talked to you right before midnight.
Yeah, so I finished later, yes.
It was even later than that.
So while I was cooking, I was just finishing emails and catching up and just approving payment links. And yeah, I went to bed at 2 a.m., I think. Got up at 5:30.
Just another week.
Yeah, just another week. But I'm glad we're doing this. It's so much fun.
Yes. Well, because
I'm always happy filming this video.
I think I was looking at how much I slept this week when I talked to you last night, and you were telling me you were cooking. And I was thinking, okay, how many times this week was I up? Did I pull all-nighters? Which is nothing to be proud of or happy about. But I think everybody just, is dragging through life.
But it hits differently when you do it for yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a whole different feeling when, even if you do all-nighters, 16, 20-hour days, it's just hits differently when you work for your own self.
Well, I think it's also you have to do it when you work for yourself versus when you work. I worked a lot less when I was working for someone else. But also, you have maybe, depending on the stage of what your kids need, you have a completely different demand at home.
Yes.
I got stuck on a train going to a meeting, or I wasn't in the train, I was waiting for the train, and the time kept changing, and then eventually it was canceled or delayed indefinitely, so I had to get into a taxi to go, and it was about a half an hour. So I'm in an Uber, and I'm doing this voice-to-text thing to tell, write emails as I'm driving, or as he's driving. And the driver says to me after I stop, he says, "Are you a really disciplined person?" And I was like, "No, not at all."
I think you are a disciplined. You're more disciplined than me. I
struggled
all over the place with my. Eventually I end up doing it, but I don't have. I feel that you're a little bit more organized than me.
No, so I'm organized, but
you're more structured. You're more pushing through.
I'm more structured, but not disciplined.
Okay,
if that makes sense.
Yes.
I struggle. 2 things I always have to check myself on is my discipline, so that I can go to bed on time, so that I can get up.
Yeah.
And I was much better at it when I was single with no responsibilities. But even then, it took me so long to get to that point. And then once I had kids, it completely cracked. And I'm worse off before becoming a parent. I think I'd pulled 1 all-nighter for my senior thesis in university. That's it.
I always pull
now
all-nighters.
It's like twice a week at least.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to bed at 3, 4 in the morning.
Because your brain doesn't stop thinking as well. I think that's entrepreneurship. That you have everything that's in your head. It just keeps you up at night, and then you come up with ideas, and then you just want to keep going, and then it...
for me, it's also, even if you're not staying up and you're trying to go to bed, but you have all these ideas whirling in your head, I'm actually, usually at those times when everybody goes to sleep.
Yes.
That's when I start to work again.
Yes.
So my work gets interrupted.
Nobody's there to bother you.
When my work gets interrupted when they're coming home.
No.
So by 5 o'clock, you kind of have to stop until they go to bed.
Yes.
And you're hoping for 8, but usually it's a little later. And they take turns who's going to stay up later. So it's never consistently 8. It's usually closer to 9.
Yeah, or
that means that they're going to wake up.
Now with this time change, it's horrible.
Yeah, because it's light out.
Yeah.
And then they get up early. So you have from 9, you probably haven't eaten.
Yes.
Maybe you'll remember to have dinner. Maybe you'll even eat with your husband. Who knows? Very rarely. Usually when you go out with other people is when you see, that's at least for us. we sit down and speak when we're going out with friends, and it's like, oh, we can finally talk. Let's talk on the way to the restaurant, or let's talk on the way to their house, or on the way back.
Otherwise, it's just transactional. Kids here, slept, eat.
Yes.
Yeah, bye.
Errands. Did you book this? Did you check that? Did you see the school email? Are you gonna go or am I gonna go? What's your schedule? So I think, but so the discipline I have to work harder for. Number one, because again, your kids are watching you, which is tough, and you're trying to tell them what to do to make sure that they don't suffer the same way. But also because there's only so much or so long that you can sustain this for.
But I think you have to suffer before you make it.
Yeah,
there's no without a struggle you can't make it. I think that's how it works. And a lot of times people just see the end results and somebody at the top, but it takes
Nobody
a lot
shows
of middle struggle.
Yes,
there's a lot of struggle going on, and especially when you are an entrepreneur and you have your own business, any kind of, you run your own business. There's never a single day, basically, that there's no drama, there's no holiday, there's nothing. But I don't know. I think it's also kind of it's a lifestyle. Working for yourself, being an entrepreneur is a lifestyle. You need a very tough stomach.
Yes.
You have to be able to take it all in. There's going to be a lot of problems. There's going to be lots of coffee. For me, lots of, like, the night comes, and especially working in the hospitality industry and having all these booze available to you at the time. I just hit the bar at the end of the shift, of a difficult shift. If I have too many crazies in one night or things go wrong, it's like this. So I go to the bar, the barman knows me, says, I got it. Like,
you have a good barman. You have good barman.
I have a good barman.
I tested them last week.
Yeah, it's a good barman. It's the same also sometimes.
Yeah, but see, when you're doing that, usually I'm doing I haven't had any, that feeling when you pass out after, a night of drinking or a night of being out. That was like in your 20s and 30s. Yeah. So now I do that minus the alcohol.
Yeah.
So I'm just, you just collapse, and then you wake up, and that hangover feeling is not the hangover from drinking. Night. It's from like the exhaustion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just dragging.
Yeah.
And I was looking at some of the clips that we had from our last filming.
Yes.
And I was telling Harry, who's filming us now earlier, how bad, you look at yourself and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm that exhausted.
I thought I looked good. I thought I looked better. Or
at least I haven't looked at myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Properly.
You're an autopilot.
Yes. You're
constantly on autopilot.
But then you said to make it, you have to work. And the reason if you want to, you have to kind of first decide what you're trying to achieve. Yeah. And whether or not you want to put your effort into it. Because I think there's this delusional, and everybody's so pissed off hearing about this. And especially for women, there is absolutely no structure to help us.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy to hear that people are talking about it, to think about, the school hours don't match the work hours. They don't even match.
The system is
in your case, they just wouldn't at all.
The system doesn't work. The society doesn't work for working women right now, and moms.
Yes. Because a dual working household.
Yes.
We're both of it, because we're still set up as if one of us is staying home, the other one is at work, and that is not the case. But you kind of don't really talk about if you've decided that you want to work in order to achieve something specific, you have to, once you make that call, you're either all in, or you have to make a different call. So you have to be very clear to yourself before you figure out what you're going to do in your work life, your family life. You have to be prepared
for the ugliness. There's a lot of ugliness. There's a lot of bad
Literally.
days. Yeah, no, there's a lot of very bad days. There's days that I want to quit. I want to pack my suitcase and leave everything and everyone behind. And I don't want to see anybody ever again in my life. And I say, why am I doing this? For what? I don't understand why. But then, you have the highs and lows. And then if you have specific goals that you want to achieve, I think it also, after working very, very hard, once you make it even a little bit, it feels good.
Yeah.
So for all the struggle you're going to go through, even that 1 second that you feel good, it feels so good. And then the next day you get another slap and you fall back down.
Yes.
And you have to keep on trying and keep on going and keep on going. I think that's the, just don't give up.
Yes.
And tighten your stomach.
Yeah.
Become, what's the word? No, is that a word?
What is
no,
it?
Okay,
Describe what you're trying to say.
Resilience.
Resilient, yes.
Yes. Yes. You become so resilient to the crap. It's like, yeah, it's all burning down, it's all falling.
Yes.
One day you think your business is over, you're closing, that's it. The next day you wake up and you say,
It's a whole new world.
okay, let's go, let's back in, let's do it.
Yeah, those are the nights that you need good sleep.
Yeah, but those are the nights that you don't get the good sleep.
Yes, you don't get any
These
sleep.
are the nights that I will stay until 3, 4 a.m. thinking, I should do this, I should have done that. Why did this not work?
Yeah.
Why did this happen? Think. And then the next day I wake up and I say, okay, let's do it. Let's go for it again.
Yeah. But then, even if you're not an entrepreneur and you have a job where you're working for somebody else, you kind of, every time you get a new job or a new boss or your team changes or something shifts in your company, you almost have to start over every time. So whether or not...
Really, you have to prove yourself again.
Yeah, because if you have a new team, you have a new boss who doesn't know you, you have new people you manage who don't like your style, you have new, goals in the company that you have to meet, everything shifts. And I think that's, that was good at certain companies that I worked at because you get used to it, this constant flexibility. So you don't really think about the fact that you always have to be on your toes and always have to be shifting. But it is a much easier build, at least in my experience, if you're in a company and there's like a clear either ladder you're trying to climb or goal you're trying to achieve because somebody else is giving it to you. They're setting it for you and saying, well, this is what you need to do if you want to become, change your leadership levels, or if you want to achieve XYZ, or if you have to complete this project successfully, these are the metrics you have to meet. When you're an entrepreneur, you have to set all those things. So
for yourself.
You're like the marketing department, the sales department, the finance department, the HR department.
The content creator.
The content creator. Yeah, the strategy.
The strategy.
Yeah,
yes.
Everything. So and then you come home and you're the parent, you're the wife, and at some point you walk by and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh my God,
it's
where
funny
did I go?
You mentioned that and said you go home and you're the parent, you're the wife. Remember that clip I sent you? We watched a
the black and white one?
The black and white one. It was an ad from the 1940s or 30s of how to be the perfect woman, wife. And basically it was saying that you have to be a darling, a sweetheart. You have to be a good mother. You have to...
perfect chef.
Set
the table properly.
You have to know how to set the table. You have to know how to dress. And basically, if you think about it, nothing has changed since then. The only thing that, except adding on top of that, you also have to be a hardworking woman and bring as much money on the table as the husband, or even more in some cases. But you still are expected to do all these things. It's crazy.
But then, okay, so if you were to
I refuse.
Well, it's not physically possible.
No.
It's just not physically. You're either operating at a, constant deficit of sleep, because that's really the only place you have room to work with.
I mean, the expectations are insane. Like, it's such a struggle.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
I can't deal with everything at the same time.
No, it's just
I
not
can't.
possible.
I can't be, hi, darling. This is what I cooked for you, and also have, I don't know, 80 employees on my back, I don't know, chasing me for... I can't. It's just impossible.
But then if you had a choice, okay, so if I said to you, today you have a choice. You can fully go in on your career and continue and, achieve what you've set out to achieve, let's say, or you don't have to work at all. What would you choose?
For me... apart from the personal satisfaction that you can get, like if you love your job and that, for me the most important thing in this whole situation that we're in as women in 2026 is the financial independence. and that I wouldn't give up for anything. I would never, ever want to be in a situation in my life where I am financially dependent on a husband who have nothing for me, and then one day this guy might wake up and say, I'm trading you for the better 27-year-old version of yourself. And then from one day to another, you lose everything. You lose your family, your husband, your love, but also you lose your lifestyle, you lose your security. And what do you do? And it's too late. And I think this was a very common theme back in the day, especially for our mother's generation. And that taught us as little girls watching that, hey, I will never want to be in this situation. Or our mothers always told us, be financially independent no matter what.
My dad told me.
Yeah. My mom told me, because it happened to her.
Okay.
And I witnessed, and with all the respect to my late father, who I loved very much, he was a very successful man. But he was also a big womanizer. And this is what happened to us at one point. And it was really difficult for my mother, because she was used to a very affluent, very privileged lifestyle. And then this lifestyle became the lifestyle of somebody else. And, he would give us some support and everything, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. And witnessing this growing up, I said, I will never, ever, ever be in this situation in my life. Watching what happened to my mother, I said, I will never be in this situation. I will be 100% independent. If I want to do my nails 3 times a week, that's my problem. Nobody will come and say to me, oh, you're doing your nails again. What's your problem?
That's a lot of wasted time, Christina.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? If I want to, I don't want to ask. Yeah. And honestly, in this day and age, I don't understand, unless you have inheritance and you have, you're still, whether you work, you have worked for the money, or you inherited, but the money is yours and it comes from your background. I don't understand, and I'm not judging, but I don't understand women that are not financially independent.
No, you know what it is? So it's not just back in the day. There's a woman named, I think, I want to say Belle Burden, who wrote a book called Stranger, I think. And she was a corporate lawyer. And it was all over the internet. So I bought it because I was curious about, what is this story about? And basically her husband was a hedge funder, but she was a corporate lawyer. I think she went to Harvard Law or something like that. And so very successful in her own right. And then when she got married, she decided to stop working, which again is, her choice.
Of course.
But the mistake, and this is what the book that she's written is about, the mistake that she made is, although she had the knowledge and the wherewithal to ask the questions, she just assumed. And not until her husband walked out on her and her daughters, she didn't know that her assumption was so wrong, so off. And it happened during COVID. And so that's what the book is about. And she comes from a pretty privileged background, if I understand correctly. I haven't finished the book yet, but she isn't necessarily lost, but she writes about the mistake of the assumption. And one of the things my father told me is that when you get married, your marriage is a partnership. So it's not about trust or no trust, because I think it's a dangerous ground to get into a relationship that deep, which is marriage, and commit at that level and not trust the person that you're with. What's the point of why are you committing? That's something that you should look at if there is no trust. But that's very different from having your own personal understanding and security. It doesn't mean that you can't be a stay-at-home mom. I think that there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you choose. But it also doesn't mean that because you're a stay-at-home mom, you shouldn't be responsible for your finances. You shouldn't be asking questions. You shouldn't be understanding what your life, how your setup is like. And so it's more about the self-education and
how to
kind of not
yourself.
and not just from this point of fear, but more from the point of self-respect. Like how do you, because you also are teaching your children that same behavior, whether you have daughters or sons, in your case, both. It doesn't matter. It's kind of, you have to have ownership and control and be accountable for your life.
Absolutely.
And sometimes these bad decisions create,
you have to be accountable for your life.
You have to
Absolutely.
be fully accountable.
Whatever
you can't just say, oh, it's their problem. It doesn't matter whether they're your parents, your spouse, your friends. You know, you're still accountable for your own decisions. And like talking about the discipline thing, all of those, that's part of discipline. So I laughed because maybe to you it might seem like the Times New Roman 10 font paper is structure and therefore discipline. But to me, there's so many things that go into it. There's like physical discipline, personal self-care discipline. There's understanding and like personal growth, education around what you're driving in your career, in your life, education around how you're raising your family, how you want to be as a couple, how you want to be as a friend. There's so many things to learn. And I don't think we're in a place in the world where we have an excuse to say, well, that information isn't available to me.
Absolutely.
Because
you're
it is
accountable for yourself.
You know?
Exactly.
But you have to use it appropriately. And I think
don't be naive.
Don't be naive. That's the thing. It's about. It's not about self-preservation and doing it from a point of fear, especially in a marriage. That's not how you should start out. And I think that's hard because it's historically it is this like betrayal and all this stuff that has made everybody defensive. But we should be educating ourselves not from a point of being defensive, just from a point of the fact that we respect who we are, and we want to grow ourselves, and we want to have control of our lives and say in our lives.
Especially if somebody, for example, gives up their career to raise a family, then they should have an official arrangement, let's say, with the other spouse, and be protected. In case and say, demand what is yours, because I have a friend, and she was very successful. Both of them were very successful. Both in finance. They decided to have a third child. It was all getting too much. So she stopped working and she fully takes care of the children, no nanny. So that's, for me, it's like a full-time job.
It is.
And I think in these cases, when it's a common decision for the good of the family, then there should be an arrangement and clear in case of divorce, in case of this, this is what's mine, this is what's yours, and I demand it up front. And I think it should be clear and not go in, as we said, naively and sacrifice everything for the sake of love and be romantic. And I don't know, maybe I'm too
cynical.
I was watching the other day, I love the 80s, and sometimes when I want to watch like a comforting feel-good movie late at night, forget about everything, I always go back to the 80s. And I was watching this movie that I haven't seen in years. She-Devil. She-Devil. And it's exactly that. It's basically a housewife that's given up everything to raise the family and take care of the husband. The husband is living the life in Manhattan. He falls in love with Meryl Streep in that movie. This rich, beautiful, successful writer, and he basically leaves her, and then she reinvents herself and starts a business, and then in the end she takes revenge, destroys everything around him, and she comes on top. It's a funny comedy, but that was the common theme, especially back then, and that's what this movie is all about. And I was like,
But I think we've had these lessons over and over and over again. So there's no, like, look at all the examples, right? There's no shortage of examples now or then of things like this happening. But what we haven't done, probably because our to-do list is so long, is really take the time to ask questions. And it doesn't mean like we have to have degrees in law and finance or whatever to understand this stuff, but we have to poke around and really understand how are we set up and how is this partnership going to work. And it is a constant give and take. If it works the right way, you have to be, I don't know, I tend to, if I'm losing it, which I am often, it's because not only because I haven't slept, but also because I haven't communicated what I need support with. From both my kids and my husband.
That's something we do a lot as women.
We take it all on, and then we just say,
keep taking.
It's all your fault.
And then boom.
Yeah, I do that. I definitely do that, and I know plenty of women do this too.
I do this as well.
Yeah. But I think that we have to get better at saying more clearly and more often what it is that we need to be able to have it be a true partnership, because it is.
But sometimes on that, because we said that we keep taking it all and we don't ask for help. Sometimes I find that I can handle it much better when I know what I have to do. I'm multitasking, but then I say, okay, this. I'm gonna do this while I'm doing this. I do it like a strategy. Mm-hmm. I lay it all down and I have a plan and say, while I'm doing this, I'm gonna jump on a call while I'm cooking this. And then if somebody comes in and tries to help, it disrupts my plan.
Yes, but
and puts me off.
Yeah, but when do you tend to lose it usually?
Honestly, yeah. It's gonna be funny. I think I'm perimenopausal. Something I never had before. It's a hormonal thing.
Yeah.
Generally, I'm a very calm person, and that I'm renowned for being very calm at work. People love working with me because it could be the most chaotic service, everything going wrong, and I keep it all together. I'm very calm. You're
just freaking out inside.
I'm freaking out inside, or I freak out. I take it out. I vent on Adrian. I keep sending him hate messages. This is all your fault. This is not working because you didn't do it properly. So I vent out on him. For me to lose it, you have to. I'm very patient as a person.
But I think so
I don't lose it very often. But if I lose it good.
And
and that's it. I take a lot. I can take for years. Keep pushing.
But that's exactly
I take
what
it
I'm
in
saying.
for years. I will explode once, but when I explode, that's it. It's the end.
Yeah. But this is the thing: is that why do we have to get to that point, right? So as things are bubbling. So you said,
but I think that's a personal thing. I think
it's no. I see it. I see it a lot.
Okay.
I have it too.
Yeah.
You know, where it's kind of like, okay, if I look at myself and I say, what led me to that moment? Yes, some things are the doing of like the irresponsibility or lack of accountability for somebody else, whether it's work or in family. But there's also a moment where I could have said, hey, I have 10 things to do and one day to do them in, so I can't do all 10 things. Who's going to help me?
Yeah.
So if it's work, you have to. I think
you have to.
I think I've realized more and more that when I don't, I get to that point, and then it's like a waterfall effect of I'm losing.
And I'm also
because
a control
I'm
freak.
I'm not patient
I'm a control
like you.
freak. At the same time, I'm very much a control freak, and it comes from that. I can't let go of the control. I need to control everything. Otherwise, I feel that it's not working the way it should be, even if it does. But I need to feel in control. And I think that's why I can't get the help, maybe. And that's a bad thing. Maybe I should change that.
Yeah.
But it's a common theme in my life. Maybe even my fear from flying comes from this, because I'm not in control of the situation. I don't trust the pilot, if you know what I mean. If I was in the cockpit or constantly had in my earphone that it's all under control, if he was giving me an update
every 5 minutes.
Every 5 minutes, this is what's happening, and I felt that I knew what's happening and I was in control.
He's actually watching.
Yeah, then I would be fine. I would be absolutely calm. But let's say it comes from me wanting to be in control.
I think I've had to.
That's why I don't.
The control freak in me and the perfectionist in me has had to chill out a bit because it's not sustainable. Like I used to, be the organized, house is not a mess, everything's done, and I'm not going to sleep until it is. And sometimes I have those moments, like if Arno wakes up and he sees that everything's been reorganized, he knows it was a bad night. But that's not sustainable. So you have to kind of, especially as your kids need you more, you have to let go of those things and figure out what you're going to prioritize. So the wave that you said, one moment, if I'm looking at my last month, it was very family heavy, all the responsibilities that I had. But then looking forward to the next month, it's very work heavy.
So you balance it out.
You have no choice. If you want to work, and if you have certain goals, you have to. Otherwise, you're going to crack.
Yeah.
And you might crack still
Yeah, you always crack.
So I think that but you have to make a choice. Yeah. But I don't think that, I think that partly one of the first questions that I asked Arnaud when I met him was, does your mother work? I met him on a Thursday, and on Saturday I asked him this question, does your sister work? And he told me yes. And the reason I asked was not because of like judgment of whether or not they did. It was more, how do you think about male-female partnership at home?
Yeah.
You know, because my mom worked out of necessity. I don't know if she would have chosen work if she didn't have to. I don't know. I never asked her. I never got to ask her that. But I know that now, if I think I've shared this with you, that if you had asked me when I was in my 20s, I would have told you that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And the second I became a mom, I realized that I wanted to work, but only to do something that was worth leaving my kids for. So like worth an actual ambition that I had and something that I felt good about doing. And so now, because they're older, when I am working and they come home, which is every day they come home from school, I'm still working, they'll come and ask me, if I'm on a call, they'll come and ask me, oh, what was your call about? Or they'll be curious. And I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, I get that a lot.
Especially you're also trying to teach them their own work ethic.
Yes.
But at the same time, you have to cover up your, like the mistakes and failures are not the same for you as they are for your children. So when I think about what is a failure as a parent to them, is when I am pulling all-nighters. I don't want my kids to think that that's a good way of working, because it's unhealthy. It's not healthy. But at the same time, if my son was talking to me about, like getting up on a stage and speaking. And I told him a story about how I had to do my first like big talk at Google with a client of mine. And it was a panel where I had to interview her. And there was a guy on stage before us, and there was music, he was making jokes, the whole audience was cracking up. So we went up after him, unlucky for us, and we were the last people, always a bad lineup. And we went up, and I had a promotion on the line. And so I knew that, okay, my boss is in the audience, he's watching me, I have, my client next to me. But I also knew that for the past 2 hours, I had been talking with her and preparing, and she was very nervous. So we got up on stage, and I made a joke about, okay, we're going to keep the energy. We're going to try and keep the energy up by sitting down. And we sat down, and then we started to chat. And every question I asked her, she would give me only a yes or no answer. And it was horrible. Yeah, it was terrible. And so my son, when he was talking to me about, his fear of like performing, because he has a drama performance coming up. And the first time that he did it, he started to cry, but then he gathered himself and he kept going. So I tell him, it's not just kids who deal with this, adults deal with this, even if it's part of your job.
Comes back to the struggle.
All the time. So that type of failure, I think, is good to show them, because it's not failure. It's learning from the moment, improving, yourself, thinking about what could I have done to either make the situation better, to, be ready for that. And you kind of don't know how to deal with it until you go through it the first time.
I think.
But the second failure, which I think is tough to swallow for me, is these self-care failures, which is the all-nighters, the like.
But I don't see that as a failure.
Your eyes. Yeah,
I don't see that as a failure. I feel that I see this, that part of this struggle is the path to success. No success comes without failure. For me, this is nobody
100%.
No one has ever 100%. Made it without any struggle and without any failure. No, and if you don't feel the struggle and you haven't had any failures, you're doing something wrong.
Well, if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough.
No, you're not trying hard enough.
You're not trying hard enough. But I do think that you kind of, I do still see, I guess I feel more guilty about the second part, which is self-care related, versus the, traditional form of failure in your work, which I don't care about because I think it's a.
But I don't see staying up until 3 or 4 a.m. as a failure. I see this as somebody who's very driven and keeps on going and is not giving up.
But you don't see it as setting a bad example.
No,
that's how I look at it.
Never working too hard is never a bad example.